Hi, I'm Arlo Leach, and I'm here with Setlist Maker version 2.1. And this version bundles together a long list of changes that users have suggested to me, and a few ideas of my own. And I want you to take advantage of all the new features, so I'm going to give you a little tour of what's new in Setlist Maker 2.1. The first thing you'll notice when you open the app and you go into a database is that our previous list of sets, songs, and styles has been changed, but really there's just a rename. Instead of sets, we now have shows. And inside of a show, you could previously create breaks, and so if you wanted 3 sets, you'd put in 2 breaks. Well, this is a little more intuitive now because we're just going to enter the number of sets that we have. So if you need 3 sets, you can put in 3, and it'll create the 2 breaks for you. And all of your old data should be converted, so basically every number gets incremented by 1. The number of sets here is no longer a multiple choice with a limit of 5. It's incremental, so you can have as many as you want. I've actually heard from musicians who play 10 sets in one show, so this goes up to 10 right now, and that'll create, if you put in 10 sets, it'll create 9 breaks. So let's just do 3 sets here, a little more reasonable, and hit save. And now we'll see in our set a little bit different layout. Instead of a row that looks like a song but it says break in it, we now have these subheadings that divide our songs into these 3 different sets. So it looks a little nicer. And then when you want to sequence the songs, it works just a little bit differently. Instead of dragging the break around, you're dragging the songs around, and you can put them into one set or another. And the nice thing about these subheadings is that they will show you the number of songs in each set, and also if you've entered durations for your songs, it will show you the total duration of the set. So I only have one of these songs with a duration on it, so the set that that's in is getting a duration. Just like in the previous version, if you enter durations for all your songs, then the duration for the whole show will be calculated, but now you can also see the duration for each individual set within your show. And those counts and durations are updated in real time as you drag and drop and rearrange things. So you can balance out your show pretty easily that way. At the bottom of our set view, we had a perform, print, and email button as before. Now we have a new button called copy. And you won't see anything happen when you tap this button, but this button copies a plain text version of all the songs in your set to your clipboard. And so now you can paste those into another app or into a Facebook post or whatever. Just to demonstrate, I will paste it into a new note. And there is a text version of my set, and it puts text breaks where I have my set divisions. Now, when we enter a show, it used to be called a set, now it's called a show, we have some other new fields in here. We have a section of contact information for the show, and you can put in the name of your contact, like the booking person, also their phone number, email address, and the street address of the venue. And this is handy because those values, if you've entered them, will show up in your sets list as little icons, one for each field. And there's a telephone icon for the phone number, and if I were on an iPhone, I could tap that to make a call. On the iPad, it can't make phone calls, so it just shows you the phone number. An email icon will open a new email message. The map icon will take you to the Maps app and take you right to the street address. And then the notes icon will show the notes that you've entered for that show. And the show also has fields for start time and end time, so you can keep track of that, be on time for all your shows, and pay, so you can remember how much you contracted to get paid for the show, and make sure you collect that at the end. You may have noticed, by the way, that I entered some notes here and I put a URL in the notes, arlotone.com, and when I view that note, that URL is now a link that's clickable. That's a common request, and that also works on the song notes as well. If I add a URL there, then it would be clickable with that note icon wherever I see a song. So users have asked for this so that they could put links to YouTube videos or other resources online. And since the notes field is a multi-line field, you can put as many links in there as you want on separate lines. Okay, let's take a look at another popular request, and this is in the database edit window, which is where your kind of global settings are stored. In the second section of options here, we have set list options, and the first two are text size. And there's one text size for print and emailed set lists, and the other is for performance mode. And Set List Maker will still try to calculate the best font size to fit all your songs onto one page, but if you find that's not working the way you'd like, you can override it here. And so these font sizes are specified in terms of a percentage, and so they scale the default font size up or down. Let's change the text size in performance mode just so you can see how that works. We'll change it all the way up to 140, that's as high as it goes right now. And we'll open the perform window and we have big text. And now let's go the other way down to 60, and that's the range that you can adjust. And now we have small text. And the same thing would work in printed and emailed set lists if you adjust the other number. Let's just put them back to normal here. And let's look at another little tweak. Let's go to the songs list. And this sample database I have set up only has a few songs in it, so you're not going to see this change, but let's go to one of my databases for one of my bands, and this database has about 60 or 70 songs, and we now see that the song list is divided into sections with a subheading for each letter of the alphabet. And over on the right there are shortcuts for the different letters, so you can scroll through that shortcut bar or you can just tap a letter. And this will appear whenever you have more than 50 songs in your database. Now within each song record there are some changes as well. Let's take a look at this song right here. And the first thing you'll notice is that the fields in this form have been organized into sections. There's a lot of fields now, and this should make it a little easier to read the form. And in the first section, the second field is artist. And I never added this field before because I was just concerned about this form getting so long, but putting it into sections helps, and this field has been such a popular request that it's here now. Scroll down a little bit to the second section and you'll see a time signature field. That's another request. And then if we keep going down, we'll see the recording and the chart buttons, and under each one is a button to remove them. So I can just remove that chart, and it doesn't actually delete the chart from my device, but it detaches it from this song. Same thing with the recording. And then actually I would have to save the record for that change to take effect. And then as I mentioned with the shows, the notes field now can accommodate clickable URLs. So if you enter or paste a URL into that field, then the notes icon that shows on the main screen will have a link that you can click. Let's go back up to the top and look at another new field. In the first section there's a switch called active, and that's going to normally be on. But if you have a song that you're not really playing anymore, you don't really want to think about it when you're adding songs to new sets, but you don't want to delete it completely. You can deactivate it. And now it'll show up in your song list with the gray background, so these first two are now inactive. It will still show up in any shows that you've added it to, but it won't show up in the Choose Songs window unless it's already in that show. So this is a little confusing, but we have Against the Law and Aunt Caroline Dyer, and they're both inactive. And Caroline Dyer is showing in this window because I previously added it to this show. If I take it out, it disappears, and so now none of the inactive songs are showing up. In other words, if I deactivate a song, it doesn't get removed from a show, but I can't add it back in again later. Anyway, if that doesn't make sense, don't worry. I think it's what you want it to do, so just use the app, and I think that will be intuitive for you. I'm going to reactivate it though, and now it has the normal background again. But again, the purpose of this function is just to let you kind of put older songs on the shelf, but not delete them completely, so your old sets still remain intact. Now, building up your song list is always a challenge, and we previously had the option to import a bunch of songs from a file, like an Excel or a text file. There's another option that shows up in the import button now. When you tap the import button, you have import from a text file, which does what we had before, and you also have import from a playlist. And this will show you a list of all the playlists on your device. Just have a few on here. And if we select one, it will then load in all the songs from that playlist in the order that they appear. And I don't want to import it into this database right now, but if I did, all those songs would immediately appear in my song list, and it will import as much data as it can find in your iTunes library. So there's going to be a title, probably an artist. Every song in the iTunes library has a duration, so this is a really easy way to set durations for your songs. If your genre in iTunes matches a style you've defined in Setlist Maker, that will be imported. And if you put comments in iTunes, those will come in as notes in Setlist Maker. Also, unlike the import from a text file, when you import from a playlist, Setlist Maker will make a show containing all those songs, and it'll name it the same name as the playlist name. So if you want to quickly review all the songs you just imported, you can go look at that show and look at all those songs. And then if you don't need it, you can delete the show. The songs will still remain even if the show isn't there. But that's just a little aid in organizing when you do this feature. Let's go over to the Perform window and look at a couple changes there. The Perform window works as before, but it now can integrate with some external hardware devices. One type of device is a page turner. There are some products on the market that can connect to your iPad with Bluetooth and send page commands to the apps, and Setlist Maker now supports that. So if we open the document viewer and we're looking through our documents, and we have one that has multiple pages. Here's one that has 2 pages, and if you connect your page turning device, you can stomp on that pedal and that'll switch pages for you. So you still have to switch between songs manually by swiping, tapping, or just tapping the song. But if you do have a multiple page song, you don't have to stop in the middle of the song to change pages. You can use your foot pedal for that. And now here's one other feature for performance mode, but I have to back up to show it to you. I have to go all the way back to the database settings, and there's a feature called Send MIDI Program Changes in Performance Mode. Let's turn that on. And now let's edit a song. And now there's some new fields in the song record labeled MIDI Program Changes, and there's 16, one for each of the 16 MIDI channels. And so what this does for you is if you want to trigger changes to your MIDI instruments during a performance, you can enter those programs here, and then when you change songs in performance mode, the iPad will send out those program changes to any instruments that you've connected. I have this set up in a sample database, so let's just go look at that. So let's look at my first song here, and I have program 1 on channel 1, program 2 on channel 2, program 3 on channel 3, etc. And for most of these songs I've entered some program changes. Now when we go to performance mode, Setlist Maker just sent the program changes for this song. If I switch to the next song, it sends the changes for that song, etc. And whether I change songs by swiping or by tapping a song, or if I'm not looking at the documents and I just have this main view, notice that now you can select a song and that will send the program changes. Just to demonstrate, I've got a little MIDI monitor app on my MacBook over here, and let me just swing this over and you can take a look. Don't know if you can see that, but I'm just going to tap a song, and the 3 program changes for that song popped up, and 3 more changes, and that song just had 1 program change, etc. Sorry I don't have any actual MIDI instruments set up here. I'm an old-time musician, but hopefully this will be helpful to those of you who are using a lot of MIDI equipment in your performances. And those are the new things that you should be aware of. There are several other small bug fixes and tweaks, and you can read the complete list in the What's New field in the App Store. As always, you can go to the website at arlomedia.com/apps/setlistmaker for written instructions for most of these larger features. And if you're new to Setlist Maker, you can check out the older videos here on YouTube to see some of the other changes as they were introduced. Anyway, I hope you like it. There's more to come in the new year, and in the meantime, I hope you get some great gigs and enjoy using this app.